Join ForumIAS Academy, trusted by hundreds of toppers, including IAS Rank 1 Shruti Sharma.
Hello everyone, welcome to this series called Anthropology Around You. In the series of these discussions, I'll be sharing some facets of anthropology which is happening around us in our daily lives. So that way you will get an inclination as to how you can use these current affairs snippets in your answers, right? So in the series of that discussion, the first topic which I would like to throw some limelight is on the recent ethnic conflict which is being witnessed in Manipur. So we all have read about it in the newspapers. Let us now try to build a certain context to the situation. What is this conflict? How did it develop? Is there any historical connotation of this conflict? Is it just a recent phenomenon? So we'll try to address these facets in this discussion. You must have also noticed the tribes who are a part of this conflict. And we have seen that this is also called as broadly the Kuki Meiti crisis. This goes without saying that the Kukis and the Meiteis are the true tribes broadly involved in this conflict. Let's try to gain an insight. How did the conflict begin? If you look at the topography of Manipur as a state, you will predominantly find two broad geographical regions in this state. The first region is the plain region or the valley region. The second region is the hill region, which is also called as hill districts. If you look demographically, majority of the Meiti population is centered around this region in the plains, okay, towards the central part of Manipur. And predominantly, you will see that they are in and around Imphal. Whereas certain hill tribes like Kukis, Zomi, Naga, they are found in the hill areas, right? So in the same diagram, if I have to represent hill areas, these are the hill areas which I am talking about. So what is the conflict? Why are they at loggerheads? There's a historical connotation to this. When we were under the British Empire used to create certain protectorate states. I hope you can recall the policy of doctrine of lapse. You will be able to relate. So the erstwhile Manipur kingdom at that particular point in time was a British protectorate and was repeatedly raided or invaded by the Naga tribes. So to create a kind of a buffer, and in fact the Britishers also followed the policy of countering one tribe against the other. Following that policy framework, the British decided to settle certain section of tribes belonging to the Kuki Zombie group into Manipur from Burma, okay, which is today called as Myanmar. So as a policy, the resettling of the Kuki groups was done from Burma deliberately to counter the intolerance which was created by the Nagas. So historically, if you look at the facets, you will see as a part of this conflict, there is a lot of name calling involved also, where the Nagas and the Meiteis reiterate that they are the original inhabitants of Manipur, whereas the Kuki tribes are foreigners. This obviously does not go well with these populations because it has now been a significant amount of time that they have been resettled in India and they consider India to be the homeland. While that resettlement was done by the Britishers, the Kuki were given certain land fragments in the hill districts to stay. So therefore, you will see that the Kuki population is predominantly centered around the hill areas of Manipur. On the other hand, if I talk about Meiteis, they form the majority of Manipur's population, probably approximately 55% today are Meiteis, and they are predominantly Hindus. On the other hand, the Kuki zombie group has an intermix of faiths and religions, and there are a multitude of religions which are practiced by them. Now, how and why did the issue begin? I have told you the backdrop. The first highlight here is that there is a feeling, a sensation with respect to the Meiteis and the Nagas who reiterate that Kukis are foreigners. Okay, so this is the first bone of contention. So let us discuss what is the issues, what are the bones of contentions here. The first one is treating Kukis as foreigners. You know the backdrop now, okay, why this is happening. The second idea is that the Meiteis on and off have demanded to be included under the ST status, the scheduled tribe status in the country. And if you have studied this in polity, under Article 342, only the president has the right to include or exclude any tribe from the ST list. This demand was an older one. It had its repercussions around the year 2006, but the demand was not continuously made again and again. Okay, it was on and off. And now this demand was reiterated. And the reason which the Meiteis give that why they are demanding this status is not just related to job security or college admissions. Apart from that, they say that according the ST status will categorically help them to be declared as the traditional indigenous tribe of Manipur. So that status is also something that they are craving for. Now the issue is, since they are the dominant population in Manipur, they have the plain areas with them, therefore they are secure economically, they can practice agriculture, and they are the dominant population which does not seemingly face any threat from the rest of the tribes. So therefore the rest of the tribes are getting insecure by this demand of the Meiteis. This is the second bone of contention. And in fact, this issue, which began on 3rd May 2023, was an immediate repercussion of this demand exclusively being made again. The third issue is of Naga nationalism. And if I be more precise, the demand for Greater Nagalim. We all are aware that how there's a framework organization called NSCN, an insurgency group which is demanding a separate country for the Naga populations in India, named Greater Nagalim. This demand has been on and off since 1950s, and so much so that in 2005, the Prime Minister initiated certain peace talks to come at a common ground with this particular section. Now, these people are demanding a separate country, okay? Therefore, it is a demand for separatism. Getting insecure by this particular demand, the Kukis have demanded Kuki land. However, the difference is that the Kukis are demanding Kuki land as a separate state, right? Whereas the Greater Nagalim demand is for a separate country or nation. So there are a lot of insecurities at play in between these tribes, which is fueling these kinds of demands, right? The other reason is the direct conflict between the Kuki and Meiteis. How? Around the years 2003 to 2006, there were demands for introducing the inner line permit system in Manipur, which is considered to be a check post whereby outsiders cannot enter the state without permission. And the Kukis, traditionally, as I told you, they were relocated from Myanmar. Therefore, they already have historical, cultural links with people of Myanmar. And the very introduction of this particular system would impede with their cultural framework. So therefore, they were against the ILP as well as the demand for the ST status, because they believe that the Meiteis are larger in terms of population. They have the more fertile areas in the state with them. Therefore, there is no reason for them to be accounted for in the ST list. However, according to the India's scheduled tribe list, Nagas and some groups of Kukis are included in that arena. Apart from this issue, there are issues like refugee crisis. So this will give you a perspective that in a state where already there is a scramble for land and power between the three pre-existing tribes, if there's a new tribe which is entering that particular area because of the result of persecutions in Myanmar. So Myanmar is under turmoil, yes, and the Rohingya are facing turbulent times there. So therefore, they are looking for resettlement in India. And since the border is much more porous, as I was telling you, because of the cultural ethos and linkages which date back to the older point in time, so therefore there's a lot of population pressure on the limited areas. So refugee crisis is also creating a sense of insecurity in the already existing tribes, who are then scrambling for more power and more control. Apart from this, there's also a scenario for poppy cultivation, which is being side-trapped by the government. And the immediate factor, along with the demand for the ST status of the Meiteis, is also the push for Hindu nationalist agenda. It is believed that the government of the day supports Hinduism vehemently, and they are trying to play that card in Manipur also by supporting and cushioning the demand of Meiteis so that they can be granted that particular status. So all these factors together have culminated in the recent crisis, which has killed approximately 70 people, and more than 40,000 have already been shifted from their homes. As I was telling you, the Meitei population is predominantly around the Imphal area, whereas the Kuki population predominantly has been centered in an area called Chura Chandpur district. So this is the district where the population has been cornered in, limited in. So therefore, this limiting of the population of Kukis to one district has also created more insecurities about losing the hill areas of the hinterland which they were traditionally given. So all these factors together have culminated into this conflict. The only reason that this conflict has been stemming for so many days altogether is that it has a historical background or a narrative. It is not something which happened overnight. I hope you have gained an insight over this issue. Thank you.